When it comes to punching in self-defense, you might only get one punch, so you better make sure that punch counts. If you have something at home that you can train with, fantastic. If not, I'll show you how to use a friend to create powerful punches. How do we generate power for self-defense? Number one, why is power important for self-defense? You're very, very lucky and very fortunate if you land one hit. That's your goal, is one hit. If you get two, great. You're going to start getting greedy if you think you're going to get 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. The best way to generate power is rotational force and rotational energy. Okay, there are a lot of different ways that you can do that. But the first thing I want you to think of is like my old kickboxing coach taught me. Imagine that there's a pole going through your head, down your spine, out your asshole, right? And you're learning to rotate on that. Eventually you start realizing that with rotational power, there's also momentum being kind of pushed into this, okay? What do I mean by that? My rear foot is connected to the floor. So if I just pivot in the same spot, I'm gonna call this a superficial pivot. And what do I mean by that? Is I'm not actually really generating force forward. I'm working on rotating, which is fantastic. We call it a pivot. But when I'm actually connected to the floor, I'm going to be able to push off of it like a sprinter out of the gates. I'm pushing with my rear foot. So I want my rear foot driving me forward. I don't want to be working on the outside. This is my peroneal. This is my vastus lateralis. They can be strong muscles, but if you think about actually connecting your kinetic chain, right? If I turn that foot here, now both of my calves are engaged. Now I have almost all of my quadriceps engaged when it's driving forward, but especially rectus femoris. I even have hamstring strength supporting that. I have my glutes supporting that. And all of that is going to help generating force going forward. But if I don't do anything with this knee, if I don't think about transferring my weight forward, again, I'm just in rotational force energy. My Shaolin Kung Fu master used to always say, Kevin, when you throw your punch, your knee should be over top. Not just for defense, but for offense as well. I never want to go forward. Everybody in the martial arts world knows why. You're going to blow your knees out. So I want that kind of matching that energy. So when I'm here, I'm pushing off that rear foot and driving the energy forward here. This is cheating. See that? That's me just shifting my weight forward. I'm not actually pivoting to get me there. When I'm pivoting my foot and pushing that, now I have rotational energy. Now I have the ability to be able to actually generate even more force. Then we're going to take a look at our arm. How do we generate more power with our arm? We separate my shoulder joint from the rest of my body, and I'm here and I just boom and I hit. Okay, I'm just trying to do something where it's basically my elbow is just popping. When it pops up in the air, now I have power there. Thank you, Wing Chun Kung Fu. So you can see it's not like typical boxing, right? We're using all the same body mechanics because they do have some of the strongest punches in the world. But now I'm talking like connection to the floor. We're looking at some elbow extension here. That's seen in virtually every single martial art. We're talking about rotational energy, Japanese martial arts, Chinese martial arts, North American martial arts. Everybody talks about this. What I want you to do the most is I want you to learn how to connect to that. So if he puts his stick down and puts both his hands up, if you have a partner, now you're going to be able to feel this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with everything weak. Okay, what do I mean by that? Nothing is rotated. Arm isn't close to me. I'm here. I'm trying to turn. It's hard, but notice I'm shifting my weight forward. If I think about connecting my foot, right away there was way more power. So I feel that connection with that foot. My arm is learning to feel where is it strongest. You will feel like your elbow is strongest when it's closest to your center. Why? Because it's closer to your center of gravity and closer to that rotational force. So when I'm turning, that's going to be stronger. If you go like this, unless you can bench like 200 pounds with one arm, this isn't going to be as strong. So you're going to naturally feel your elbow come in. Now again, we're looking at structure versus muscular. Now somebody who's smaller can actually generate a lot more power. This is why you guys see in my videos, I typically punch at a 45-degree angle versus opening up or rotating over like a boxer does. Now extend your arm out straight. From the extension of the arm, I want you to work on that rotational energy I was talking about. So I'm here and I rotate. I'm not using my arm. I'm not focusing on my pop at all here. I'm just turning and I'm rotating, turning and rotating, turning and rotating, turning and rotating. That's like strength training. Let's say you don't have somebody like Chris to help you out. You have a big dummy. So or punching bag. So when I'm here, same concept. Turn, turn, turn. I can start in close and I can feel how to build that, right? Just step by step. I can work on popping my punch out, etc. If I have that stick though, thank you, sir. This is probably one of the best things that one of my Filipino martial arts gurus taught me is how to rotate using the stick. When you have something weighted at the end of you, when you learn to turn your whole body to strike with it, you're going to get much better rotation. So everything we've done so far has been that rear hand, that rear cross throwing forward. Now I'm going to go from the lead hand. I'm going to work on that rotation to help me out. I can do it here, but it feels a little awkward because I'm kind of twisting past my body. So my right leg is forward, the stick is in my right hand, and I'm turning through. Turning through. When you're doing this, make sure to lead with your knuckles going through it like you're cutting so it translates to your knife self-defense, right? So I'm here, I'm turning through, turning through, turning through. So now I'm learning to pop out just like I'm punching. My fist position is obviously different, but I'm not trying to build a punch here. I'm trying to build the attributes to be able to create a powerful punch. So with that stick, boom, turn. You can come back and do the same thing. 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And all of these things are going to help you create more power. In the self-defense world though, are you going to have time to be able to throw that rear hand cross? Everybody typically throws this big haymaker because they think that it's going to create a lot of power. So I'm here, I'm rotating, I'm trying to come around, but look what my body's doing. It's going to all these muscular areas. I'm going into my pec, into my shoulder, into my tricep, and that isn't necessarily going to build a lot of power, right? Unless you have muscular strength to back it up, but a lot of us don't. So we have to learn to be able to use our skeletal system, our skeleton, to align that power. So when I'm thinking about hitting that, I'm here and I'm turning, Well, let's go back to what I originally said. How are you going to be able to throw that cross punch? 1, it's slower because it's coming from the backhand. 2, you're rotating through. It's going to take a lot longer to get there. So I always make sure my jab touches first. Okay, my jab, maybe it's a knockout punch. I'm not going to punch him in the face. I'm going to punch him in the chest. So I'm here. He goes to put his hands up and I'm like, boom. And I just send him away. If my power of my jab can send somebody away, fantastic. But what if they're bigger and stronger? So with that being said, is I might hit that jab and maybe it just like breaks his nose, right? I just punch forehead because I'm nice. So now my rear foot is landed. Wow, now I get to throw my cross. So I'm always thinking in my head, how can I hit that 2? So the 1 could be a knockout. But if they're way bigger than you, don't look for the knockout. Look for just crushing the nose and then coming with that big right hand instead. And that's going to generate some power. And hopefully after that, you can get to safety. Stay safe.